Comfort doesn't look dangerous. It doesn't announce itself as failure. It doesn't feel painful. It doesn't scare you. In fact, it feels earned, deserved, reasonable. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they get comfortable. Because comfort slowly replaces hunger. Because safety quietly numbs ambition. Because life becomes good enough, and good enough is where potential goes to sleep. If success feels distant, it's rarely because you're doing nothing. It's because you're doing only what feels comfortable. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition. Ambition doesn't disappear overnight, it fades. It fades the first time you choose ease over effort. It fades the first time you say tomorrow instead of today. It fades the first time discomfort shows up and you step back instead of leaning in. Comfort teaches you to avoid friction, to protect your energy, to stay in familiar routines. And while that sounds healthy on the surface, it slowly trains your nervous system to fear challenge. Once that happens, growth becomes threatening instead of exciting. That's when people plateau, not because they can't go further, but because they stop pushing themselves too. Comfort feels safe, right? Until you realize you've stopped growing. Comfort creates the illusion of stability. Same routine, same income, same habits, same conversations. Nothing is wrong, but nothing is expanding either. That's the danger. Growth requires disruption. It requires new skills, unfamiliar environments, and the willingness to look inexperienced again. Comfort protects you from those moments, and in doing so, protects you from progress. You don't lose ambition because life gets hard. You lose ambition because life gets easy. Successful people don't avoid discomfort, they schedule it. One of the biggest lies about successful people is that they're simply more talented or motivated. They're not. They are more intentional about discomfort. They wake up earlier than they want to. They train when they're tired. They have difficult conversations instead of avoiding them. They invest when it feels risky. They stay in the room when things get uncomfortable, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand leverage. Discomfort is where learning happens. Pressure is where adaptation happens. Resistance is where strength is built. Comfort doesn't sharpen you. Pressure does. Comfort shrinks. Your tolerance for challenge? The more comfort you choose, the less you can tolerate difficulty. Small challenges start to feel overwhelming. Feedback feels like attack. Failure feels personal. Stress feels unbearable. That's not weakness, it's conditioning. Your nervous system adapts to whatever environment you give it. If you live in comfort, discomfort feels like danger. If you live in challenge, pressure becomes familiar. This is why people who push themselves regularly appear calm under stress. They've trained their system not to panic when things get hard. Wealth is built through strategic discomfort. Look closely at people who build real wealth. Not just money, but influence, freedom, and stability. They don't chase comfort early. They delay gratification. They take calculated risks. They put themselves in rooms where they're the least experienced. They sacrifice ease for long-term control. Comfort is something they earn later, not something they protect early. Average people optimize for ease now and struggle later. High performers struggle now and live freely later. That difference compounds. Comfort makes you confuse busy with progress. One of the most dangerous forms of comfort is busyness. You feel productive because you're occupied, but activity is not the same as advancement. Comfort loves familiar tasks, things you're already good at, things that don't challenge you. Growth tasks feel different. They're uncomfortable. They expose ignorance. They risk failure. They demand focus instead of movement. Comfort keeps you busy. Discomfort makes you better. Pressure is the price of becoming more. Every level of success demands a higher tolerance for pressure, more responsibility, more decision-making, more uncertainty, more expectations. If you avoid pressure now, you'll never be ready for what you say you want later. Growth doesn't happen in calm, it happens in resistance. Muscles don't grow in rest, they grow under load. Your life is no different. Comfort is addictive, and that's the trap. Comfort doesn't ask much of you, it rewards you immediately. It feels good today, but it always sends the bill later. The bill comes as regret, as unrealized potential, as the quiet frustration of knowing you could have done more. Discomfort is expensive up front. Comfort is expensive over time. You choose which price you're willing to pay. The hard truth, if you stay comfortable, you stay average. Not because you lack ability, but because you refuse friction. Success demands edge. Growth demands strain. Transformation demands discomfort. You don't need need to suffer endlessly. You need to challenge yourself consistently. Comfort is not the reward for hard work, it's the reward for finishing the work. If you chase comfort too early, you sacrifice the future you could have built. Lean into challenge, seek pressure, choose growth over ease. Because the moment you stop avoiding discomfort, you stop being average.